Good evening, Man Cave Sports back to recap the second week of the Timberwolves season, a week that saw them go 2-1 with victories over the Hornets and Nets, and a very lackluster performance last evening versus the New York Knicks, a game in which we saw the return of Anthony Edwards. Missed only 4 games, which I think was on the low side and somewhat unexpected. So good to see him come back so quickly from that hamstring injury. Unfortunately, his performance wasn't the greatest. However, good to see him back. And we will discuss this past week. We don't really want to get into the Nets and Hornets games. Nice road wins against two pedestrian teams, but the Knicks game was somewhat troubling. So, Razor, I'm going to start with you. Just
Yeah.
what the hell happened last night? Because I believe we were up by 4 at the half, and then the third quarter was just abysmal, as well as the fourth.
Well, first off, it's good to see you guys. I missed last week, so I'm glad to be back. But not glad to be talking about last night's debacle. And I think they were up like four, I think, at the half. And I think generally playing some good defense. And I think the effort was pretty strong. Defensive rebounding was a big problem in the first half, but things seemed to get even worse in the second half. And they were just getting punked on the glass over and over and over again. I think Julius Randle was awesome in terms of scoring, 32 points on high efficiency, but he only had 5 rebounds. Rudy Gobert, 9 rebounds. The guards weren't exactly helping out either. And Jaden McDaniels, one of my guys, one of my guys. His effort defensively was arguably the worst I've ever seen from him. I've seen him get lit up, but I've never seen such terrible effort. He was lazy on closeouts. He was just letting guys blow by him. He was following guys after he got screened, but not committing to anything. He got a guy to miss and he just stood there, and then the guy ran past him for the rebound. That really stood out to me. I've been hard on Rudy Gobert and thinking that his rebounding numbers have been pretty porous for much of the season, but I'm going to credit Dane Moore here, but I think he shared some stat that the Wolves defensive rating with Rudy on the court is like 107, which is, I think, pretty damn good. But without him on the court, it's like 140 plus.
Yes.
That is shocking. I leave it at that. But terrible effort. Good for the Knicks, second favorite NBA team. Done.
Yeah, I did see that today too, as well from Dean. Steve, I know this panel has a love-hate relationship with one Mr. Finchy. I think last night in the group text I said something about Finchy's follies, which I think was a proper way to describe what we witnessed last night. What's going on? I know it's early in the season. They're 4-4, I believe. So I mean, no reason to panic just yet, but the defense that we've seen over the past 2 seasons has not seemed to carry over to this season through 8 games.
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing. The Wolves have not held anybody this season under 100 points. Um, they got out rebounded by the Hornets as well this last week, which is crazy. We probably could have lost that Hornets game too, but they shot just atrocious from beyond the arc, and I think that was a big reason why we were able to pull that game out. But yeah, with Finch, it's still the same problem that he cannot motivate the team. He can't get them moving. He can't change the tone in game. He doesn't do well with in-game adjustments. If Jaden's not going to put in the effort, like, Razor said, who else do you have sitting on the bench there? Oh, Mr. Bones Highland, Mr. Naughton's buddy, who got 3 minutes last night. If Jaden ain't pulling his weight, sit him, bench him. And this is the problem that I've had with Finch for 3 years now. He doesn't handle the in-game stuff. He can't get the team motivated. He can't fire them up. He can't get them moving. He just sits on the bench and he looks like he looks like he's waiting for somebody to bring him his tea and his slippers almost. It's like, dude, come on. It's not a good look. And one season, fine. 2 seasons, now we're into season three. He still can't motivate the team. He can't change their tone. He can't seem to, okay, you don't want to play, fine. I'm going to bench you. You sit down. I'm going to put somebody else in who wants to play because I got a deep bench here. So, I'm pretty much done with Finch. I don't care if
Oh,
people don't like it. If I don't care if people want to complain. Oh, we're in the two Western Conference Finals. Yeah, we should have gone farther, honestly. And I'm not going to rehash the last couple of years. I've spoken plenty about that, but we're seeing the same thing. And now we don't have the defense to fall back on. So he can't motivate the team. He just can't. It's not in his makeup. He'll sit there and let them flounder until the next game, and we'll talk about it, and then he'll swear at them in the locker room or whatever he does. And but it doesn't do anything for the game itself. So we need somebody that can fire this group up.
Valid points. Mr. Naughton,
Oh, yes, sir.
what did you think of Ant's performance last night after missing the past 4 games with the hamstring?
I noticed he had the little sleeve on there that he usually doesn't have. He definitely wanted to play against Carl. And like we didn't know when Ant was going to come back. We thought maybe another week. And Finchy said something like we said via text when I heard a little snippet of him. He said, "Is Ant going to play tonight?" And he goes, "I have no idea." And as I said, that wasn't a no. So I kind of felt we were going to see him out there. He was tentative out there. Uh, when he was popping those threes, we know when Ant's on, and we know when they feel good when they leave the hands. And all 4 of us that were watching that, when he's popping some of those threes, it's like, oh no, he just kind of went away from his game. But I will give him a little bit of credit. Ant was one of the only 3 people out there playing defense yesterday, and he kind of buckled down, and he didn't want to steal the show. He was just kind of fitting back in there. But the weird thing, as Razor, he's sharp as a tack, man. That's why I call him Razor. Jaden kind of just, with Ant out there, kind of just faded away. All that aggressiveness that we saw before, it kind of faded away. But Ant, you can tell he's coming back a little bit early, and I commend him for that. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Wow, man, a few words. Not. All right. Moving right along, as we like to say. The NBA Cup starts tomorrow evening, at least for the Timberwolves. I believe last week it actually started. It's kind of weird how they do it this year. Spread it out rather than have it over a couple of weeks. I know the Wolves open up against the Jazz. Razor, is there anything we have to look forward to? I know it's been a pretty lackluster 2 years since they've had this tournament for the Wolves. I think they've performed well, maybe even going 3-1, 3-1, but not moving out of their bracket. I mean, anything that we should get excited about going into Friday's game?
I'm not really into the NBA Cup. I don't think it's like a terrible thing to have, but I think part of it is I'd definitely be on board if the Wolves like actually made a run in it. I'd probably be bragging about them winning and ready to hang the banner and enjoy that. So I think I'm just bored with it because they haven't done anything with it so far. It makes these days in the NBA a little more interesting, but it hasn't done a whole lot for me. But just looking at their upcoming schedule, including Utah Friday or tomorrow, it's pretty light. They get Utah twice in the next 4 games, Sacramento twice in those 4 games, and then then you have Denver, Dallas, Washington, Phoenix, Sacramento again, then OKC. This should be a time that the Wolves can figure some things out. And I mean, Utah was dealt a pretty big blow. Former Timberwolf Walker Kessler, I think, is out for the season now with a shoulder injury. So I wouldn't say that I'm very excited about the NBA Cup, but I am excited that this could be a time that the Wolves could string together some wins. But their lack of effort, very concerning. We've said that for 2 years. Just was surprising to see one of their best defenders put up such a bad effort. I mean, you guys were talking, I started to wonder if maybe something was not right with him, where he could play, but wasn't going to be 100% because he didn't open the game on Jalen Brunson. Ant did. And for a guy that was coming back from an injury, I was a little surprised that they'd give Ant that assignment so early and that Jaden didn't, because Jaden almost always starts on the opposing team's facilitator or best offensive wing player. And Jaden didn't really get him until later in the game, I didn't think. So maybe something's wrong and they're just not saying so. I don't know. And look at me making excuses for the guy. Shouldn't do that.
Hopefully it ain't leukemia.
Yeah.
What's that?
Hopefully it ain't leukemia.
Mm.
All
Oh,
right.
well, I'm
Mr. Steve, I know Jules was a lightning rod for you last season until late in the season and then the playoff run. Obviously, he's been hot out of the gate, had a triple-double a couple games ago. I know his plus minus wasn't great last night, but then again, not a whole lot were. Is Jules playing about as well as he has in his career? I know he had some good seasons in New York. I believe he made the All-Star team 3 times, but I mean, through 8 games, he definitely looks like a different player than the one that got traded before the beginning of last season, and his first couple months in Minnesota was a bit tumultuous to say the least.
Yeah, I was pretty hard on Mr. Sticky Fingers last year. I didn't like the style of play that he had going up into, kind of the December season, December, January, and he got injured and then he came back and I think he kind of figured out where he fits and what he needs to do and kind of the style of play. So I think it took him a while to kind of figure out that, hey, we're not going to stand and dribble the ball for 8 to 10 seconds and then move, right? And it's really been nice to see that it's not a maturation because he's a veteran player, but his evolution with the Wolves here now, from the time he came back from that injury to what he did in the playoffs. I had to give a video apology to him because he was playing so well. And then this season it's continued, and I think it's even better. He's consistent and we're able to count on him. He had a triple double the other night. He's putting up 20, 30 points. Yeah, last night the boards weren't good, but he was trying on defense. Like you could see him out there, like he was tired, like he was hustling, and he was working it and working hard. And I like the fact that he's just as eager to facilitate and pass and some of these things when he's playing bully ball and getting down the middle, he's drawing so much attention and he's getting those kickouts to the corners and getting those kickouts for some nice open threes for people. So his facilitation, I'm really liking the evolution of his game here now with the Timberwolves. And he's definitely one of our strong points right now. And he's probably our most consistent player and most reliable. So yeah, I think the evolution since last year has been amazing. And I'm gonna bank on him. I will not be ripping on Mr. Sticky Fingers this year because he is doing a great job.
No doubt. And I did notice last night, I watched the ESPN cast. I don't know if FanDuel carried it locally.
They didn't.
Yeah, I watched the ESPN one, but they made some valid points about this potentially being a win-win trade for both teams in regards to Cat with the Knicks and then Jules here. Obviously, Dante was a part of it as well as the draft pick that got Bernier. So still plenty of basketball left to be played, so we'll see how it shakes out. But so far, so good as far as that trade. Be naughty. Speaking of trades, there has been massive speculation this week about Ja Morant. And the Timberwolves are a team that is constantly brought up, one of a handful of teams, but I did see a gentleman that I follow on TikTok, and he was talking about and basically said the Wolves might make the most sense and threw a couple of players' names out. But Ja, I think most NBA fans, non-Grizzly fans, have had a lot of fun at the expense of Mr. Ja over the years due to his own off-the-court incidents. Nobody can deny the talent. I know last year probably didn't have his greatest year, but a few years ago, he was one of the rising stars of the league. What do you think about the potential of Ja Morant in a Timberwolves uniform?
Well, first off, it does sound exciting, doesn't it? We don't have a true point guard, but is Ja really a true point guard? And just parent Ant and him are buddies. They both respect each other. It could take the league by storm. It could, but I heed the words of a great American lady like Nancy Reagan. Man, she was like fighting against things that felt good. but were detrimental to one's health. And she just said, just say no to drugs. What I say is,
Just say no to Ja.
it's very, I think that guy, that young gentleman from a gated community, I mean, hey, this guy did not grow up in the hood. Let's be honest with ourselves here. He did not grow up in the hood. Gated community. He had a nice upbringing. Putting him in Murderapolis or Chicago or I think he belongs in Utah with the Mormons to just save that guy's soul. So in short, I'm a man of few words. That's what I think about that.
Wow. All right.
I didn't know where you were going with that at first. I'm like, what the hell? That was nice. I'm like, why are we talking about Nancy Reagan?
Nancy Reagan.
Bring in the props, Benatti. I like it.
Yeah. Hey.
Mhm.
Hey, you pretty much just described Clarence from 8 Mile too. Anyways, I'll open this question to Razor Steve. If the Wolves were to entertain such a trade with the Grizzlies, what assets would they give up, or do you think they would have to give up? What's Ja's value right now?
To me, 0. I wouldn't give up anything for him. Maybe a second round pick. I think Benatti covered it all, really. But the guy is, I mean, you take away the love for guns, you take away beating up teenagers. I think that's one of his other things that he does. I think threatens mall security. Not, I mean, but that's off court. But on the court, he or related to basketball, he doesn't play. He played 50 games last year. The year before that, he played 9. The year before, he played 61. And he's never played more than 67 games in a season. And because he gets hurt all the time. And he gets suspended often as well. And now hasn't he kind of on the verge of torpedoing another coach in the span of 5 months? And so I wouldn't touch him. I would stay away. And I don't think he'd be a good blend with Ant anyway. I don't think their games would really work all that well together. Mr. Steve?
Yeah, no, I don't want him anywhere near us. Um, like I said before, Finch can't motivate the team. He doesn't have that type of control. He doesn't have that type of power within the clubhouse. Um, there's a reason why they keep Joe Ingles around to be like the emotional support puppy or whatever they do to like help everybody out or something. Because the guy, I mean, we're burning a roster spot 2 years in a row for him. Nice guy, good, but John Morant coming in and running roughshod in this group with as moody as we've seen Jaden McDaniels be, and even Naz Reid. Ant is just an affable dude. He's not going to be, he's not like Jordan. He's not like KG. He's not going to rule the locker room. That's not what he does. That's not who his personality is. So you bring in John Morant, and then you have a head coach who can't, emotionally control this team. No, that is a recipe for although maybe you bring in John Morant and you end up dynamiting Chris Finch out of here. Maybe that's a means to an end. I don't know. Maybe that's a thing. You bring him in and just boom and it blows everything up. But no, I wouldn't trade anything for it. I think it would be horrible for the chemistry. I think we've got young guys that are trying to learn and trying to get in and get time. And if you're gonna bring in somebody that can help teach these guys and bring them along and like Dilly and Bones and some of these, help bring him up. Cool. John Morant, no, he's locker room cancer.
Wow. I like it. Yeah. Part of me, just like you, Brian, intrigued of a backcourt duo of Ant and Ja, but at the same time, Razor, you hit the nail on the head. He hasn't been playing the last few seasons, and he's been a monument.
15% from 3 this year. And he's throwing up a lot of them too.
And he's just a monumental pain in the ass to his franchise. So I mean, yeah, not a road we want to explore, but it makes for interesting sports talk banter. All right. I'm going to ask each of you. All right, we'll do a couple of fun things. First, I'll go around the horn. Who do you think, and it's early, trade deadlines months away. If you had to pick one current player on the roster that's at risk of being dealt, in the next couple of months, who would that be? Brian, I think I'm gonna start out with you on this one.
You know, you all know I'm a Rudy guy. I like defense. I'm like an old head. I love the 90s and the 80s. You know, you had to have that big man. Rudy is, I was really harsh on him an episode ago. It's just like he's slow, he's lost a step. He doesn't look like 4-time defensive player of the year. He's got frying pans for hands when you throw him in there. But the one thing about Rudy is that he's going to be good against like the Golden State Warriors. He's going to be good against the Charlotte Hornets. That he's going to be good at like getting 15 and 19 and that type of things. And there's certain games where he's not going to be good, like last night. I mean, anything like that. If I can see anything happening, I like consistency, and I believe in my coach, Mr. Steve. I don't know what all this mutiny that's happening. It's early. We've been to two straight conference finals.
Yeah,
I mean, if anybody,
thanks,
I would see Rudy with. I'd see
thanks
Rudy
to
with
Mr.
the
Conley.
money.
Thanks to Tim Conley for putting together the roster. Finch is just along for the ride. He's just sitting in the coach. He's not driving the horses. He's just along for the ride.
Hey, Mike, do we have drug tests for Man Cave Sports? Steve, Mr. Steve gets one.
No, dude, I'm serious.
No.
Like it's
hey, if you got a problem, you can talk to me, Mr. Steve.
You can watch the games. I mean, it's all there. We don't have to go backwards. I've talked about it.
I'm just saying. I love you, man.
All right. Let's stick to the topic. Razor.
Yes. Who will get traded?
Not necessarily, but who do you think's on the block if the Wolves were to entertain a deal?
I think the two names that are coming into my head are Julius Randle and Naz Reid. And the reason I say that, and I see these like shocked looks on my face, on your guys' faces. So maybe that's good that I said that. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but and I mean the eye test is there too. But the defense that's being played when those two guys are on the court together is so terrible that it's just not sustainable. That unless, I mean, at least with Randall right now, he's scoring a ton of points. And I think he's been okay when he's guarding on the perimeter, I think a little bit, or guarding in the post, but he's not a rim protector. Naz Reid is getting torched on defense every single night. And I know he's recovering from a really, really trying, tragic event in his life. So maybe he's just lost a little bit of focus. But I'm gonna say Julius Randle. I don't think he's on the block, but he's the name that comes to mind because I mean he's putting up some big numbers. And I do think that if at some point, if this defense doesn't get solved, they're probably gonna have to pick between one of their power forwards. And I feel like they're not gonna give up Nas. That would just be so hard to envision. I don't feel strongly about either of these thoughts, but Julius Randle's a name that comes to mind.
Wow. Mr. Steve.
Yeah, no. I can't see Tim Connolly doing that because he basically then traded Cat to, I mean, depends on what he would get back for Randall, but he traded Cat for sometimes here DiVincenzo because he ain't been great shakes the start of this season either. And then the draft pick was our other Frenchman there, Mr. Bernier, which we don't know about yet. So I don't see Randall, but I do see Nas definitely being somebody, he's got a decent contract, that's movable, right? But I also think that I could definitely see Conley moving Rudy too, because Rudy is one of those things that you've only got so much time before Rudy does go completely off the cliff, and now he's just he's a bench backup center, that's going to come in and help on defense, right? You only got so much time before you reach that point. And Tim Conley in his media day was talking about how he was happy about being under the second apron, how if there's a good opportunity out there, they weren't going to be afraid to make moves, and he's not going to get rid of TSJ, he's not going to get rid of Dillingham, not going to happen. So I would be looking for them to move Naz Reid or Julius Randle to get some other pieces in.
Interesting. I guess I would throw out something.
I mean, not Julius Randle, Rudy, not Julius. I like sticky fingers now. Keep him here.
I like it. I like him too, Mr. Steve. I want to make that clear. I am not saying that I believe this will happen. I I love the way Julius is playing, but he's gonna have a lot of value, and I just wonder. So
It's a
anyway,
bargain contract. He's kind of playing like a guard up there. I kind of feel good when he's bringing the ball up and the
yeah.
offense running through him. I would disagree, but that's just me. I'm the team idiot.
Oh,
I
and
gotta say one thing, Mike, before you say something. My heart is warm right now. I take a week off and I'm seeing Mr. Steve and B Naughty almost agreeing on everything. It's just, man, I
yeah,
love it. I love it.
I gotta do something to mess that up. That's probably not good for our viewership. We don't need to get all mushy on here. I guess just throwing in my own 2 cents. Rob Dillingham, I mean, if they're not going to play him, he might have value somewhere else. Not saying that they should, but I don't understand. Some games he'll get some valuable minutes, meaningful minutes. Some games Finchy don't play him. I would also say DiVincenzo because of the
Yeah,
streakiness and the good contract. I think he's only what, like 11, 12 million against the cap. I mean, how much? 12? 11.
I think so.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty good contract for a player of his caliber and
for
potential.
sure.
I mean, we saw it the other night. I think what did he had one game there where I think he hit 6 or 7. He scored 25 a couple games ago, and he was on fire from three. I think he's still shooting over 40% for the season, but just some of the turnovers and stuff. It's never a question of his hustle, but the streaky shooting is somewhat reminiscent of D'Lo. And
I love his defense right now, though. I love
yeah.
that he's trying harder than everybody else. You can't take that away from the guy and the contract. I don't know.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to do one quick word association, player association for each of you, because we've talked about a lot of the starting players, the players that get all the coverage. Let's talk about some of the bench players that we haven't really mentioned on this show. Brian, I'll start with you. Bones Highland.
TC likes him. TC likes him. I think of Bones Highland as clean cat litter for Tim Connolly. He loves him. He drafted him. He keeps coming back, and every time he's in there, we get a spark. I think he's here to stay, and I would love to see more minutes. But I trust in my coach, unlike some other people.
All right, Mr. Steve, I am going to give you TSJ, Terrence Shannon Jr.
Yeah, you can trust your coach all you want, but he's wasting TSJ. TSJ right now is a lost puppy out there. He doesn't know when he's on the court, he doesn't know where to fit in. He doesn't know where he's supposed to be. They, they've got to get him back to being the kid who can attack and then slash, and can start playing some defense there. And I think, Mr. Conley isn't going to let Chris Finch get rid of TSJ. He's not going to let him get rid of Dillingham or any of those guys. TSJ is going to be around for a while. He was out with a foot injury last night, but yeah, TSJ just he looks he looks like he's like, okay, where am I supposed to go or what am I supposed to do? Like he looks like he's playing to not get in trouble, right? And I think we've all seen that when with youth sports and high school kids and stuff like that, but he looks like he's playing to not get benched, and he's not playing with the same reckless abandon that he was last year that made him so good. So I'd like to hopefully see him get back to that.
All right, Razor, we'll close out with you. Jalen Clark.
Tenacious, ready. Maybe not offensively with his shot. I know his three ball has been a kind of a disaster so far this season, but my goodness, that guy can defend. And he wants the challenge, and whoever he's guarding, he's going to put them through hell, full court. And just his footwork, his foot speed, his desire, it's really impressive to watch. And you can put him on a guy. I don't think he did so good on Brunson last night, but so far this season, whenever they put him in the game, no matter who he's guarding, and they put him on some high level guys, their life gets a lot harder. And I would argue he's an elite defender already. And maybe that's not a hot take, but I would say he is. It's just the offense just isn't there. He does little things like offensive rebound. He cuts pretty well. He doesn't take bad shots, and those are all extremely important traits. But like for him to really get the playing time that I mean, he if he were to get more playing time, I mean, you're talking about a guy who could be like an all defensive team type of player. He needs to start hitting shots. And so it's too bad that he's not able to do that just yet. But he's still young, and I'm just hopeful that the guy he has a very high level skill in the NBA. And so kudos to him. Kudos to Conley for having that patience, taking that pick. And I know it wasn't a early pick, but they saw something and they were willing to wait on it. And that's a home run second round pick right there. And so I like what I see from him a lot.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I wish he'd be able to finish a little better at the rim.
That
He
too.
seems to blow an occasional layup here and there. I think he hit a 3-pointer last night, did he not, against the Knicks? But yeah, he could use a little. He could develop the offensive game a little more. But yes, his hustle, his pressure when they decide to put the full court press on is just phenomenal. I mean, how many games has he broken up the inbound? So. All right, gentlemen, good stuff this week. We will be back next week, hopefully recapping some Timberwolves victories, particularly that NBA Cup game that I know you guys are so looking forward to tomorrow night, like myself. All right, gentlemen, it's been real. Man Cave Sports out. We will be back next week. Wolves back. Later.